child. Record this video and share.
So like 10 years ago, my grandpa...
Okay, fine. One more story before bed. This.
They say spirits can attach themselves to objects. Take a look at this.
These kids were just walking along the beach when they found...
Oh my god, I touched it!
She saw the Jesus statue walking by itself in the middle of the night. A woman that used to live with her grandmother claimed that her grandmother
Welcome y'all to Fearen Fear Files. This is where we question the untruth and I try to uncover the truth. Alright? So what I have here is demonic people doing demonic things, you hear me? And so we're gonna check this out and check out these demonic videos and see what we think about. Truth or false. Let's determine. Let's get to it.
This story is absolutely creepy, so if you're alone right now, do not listen to this story at night. Who knew something so simple and ordinary would turn into the worst nightmare ever? A man online claimed that he lived alone, completely alone, no pets, no nothing, and he would work late nights. It was a Tuesday night when he came home at 11:30. I mean, he did this all the time. This was nothing new. He turned on all the lights. He warmed up something to eat. He watched something. I mean, it was like a chill night. After finishing up with dinner, he decided to wash the dishes. I mean, at first he said he swept, he cleaned the counters, and then he left the dishes. The creepy thing about his kitchen is that it had like a really big window. I mean, it was dark. He had like no curtains at all, so anything could see him and he could see everything. He was washing dishes when all of a sudden something felt completely off. I mean, the vibe was completely off. He was never really scared of looking outside in the window, but something that day felt wrong.
This friendly family seemed harmless, but they were hiding the stuff of nightmares. In 1970, a man named Wade Corliss was driving through the back roads of rural Oregon when he hit something lying across the road. He got out and found only a large feed sack, torn open and deliberately placed across the lane. Strangely, his car would not start. Therefore, after spotting a faint light in an old house nearby, Wade walked there to ask for help. However, as he approached, he noticed several old cars rusting in the weeds. He assumed the owner was a mechanic. Before he could knock, a woman opened the door. She smiled warmly. After hearing about his car, she said her husband was a mechanic. Therefore, she insisted he stay the night. However, something felt wrong. The house was filthy. It was cold. And during dinner, the whole family watched him too closely. Nevertheless, Wade convinced himself he was just tired, so he went to bed. Late that night, he woke to a faint sound. It was steady, muffled, like someone struggling beneath the floor. Therefore, he stepped into the hallway. However, the family's son was already waiting in the dark. "We don't like guests who leave their room," he whispered. Then he told Wade to go back to bed. By now, Wade was terrified. Nevertheless, once the house fell silent, he crept downstairs. The sound led him to a heavy door at the end of the hall. He opened it, then he turned on the light. The moment he realized what he was seeing, he heard footsteps behind him. The whole family stood silently in the hallway. Then the father smiled and said, "Now you see why nobody ever leaves."
This school janitor knew where every missing child went. In 1987, inside Westbridge Elementary in Ashford, Indiana, janitor Samuel Harlow had worked there for 18 quiet years. Teachers trusted him because he never missed a day and always carried the same ring of old brass keys. The school felt completely normal. Children laughed through the halls. Parents never suspected anything. Then one first grader disappeared after staying late for art class. Weeks later, another child vanished without leaving the building. Police searched every classroom but found nothing. A substitute teacher reported hearing a loud machine beneath the gym after midnight. Investigators discovered old blueprints showing a maintenance level that officially did not exist. Behind a sealed concrete wall, officers found a hidden room containing an industrial meat grinder, covered in fresh rust and children's backpacks stacked against the wall. Samuel Harlow had already disappeared. The underground hallway stretched far beyond the original plans. Detectives followed muddy footprints until they simply stopped. The hidden level was sealed forever. No child was ever found, and no one knows who locked the final door. This cursed family took the life of over 1,000 people. This is the true story of Wrong Turn. In the 1950s, in the small town of Ravens Hollow, there was a family called the Crow family. The Crows lived in an old house on the edge of Ravenwood Forest. People in town hated them because of their looks, saying they were strange and didn't belong one night. The townspeople set fire to their house, thinking they would get rid of the curse, but the Crow family survived. They disappeared into the forest angry and broken. From that day on, they swore revenge. Years later, people began to vanish near Ravenswood Forest. Hikers, travelers, even townsfolk. Survivors say the Crows hunt and eat people as payback for what the town did to them. They hunt anyone who enters the forest, setting deadly traps, pits lined with spikes, pit and bear traps, and hanging wire nooses. They laugh when they hunt, and they drag their victims underground to eat them. The only thing they leave behind is a bloody crow feather. In the 1980s, a girl named Emily escaped after her friends disappeared while camping. She said the crows whispered as they chased her, "You burned us, now we burn you today." No one goes near Ravenwood Forest. Locals say you can still hear laughter and snapping twigs in the dark if you see a crow feather at the forest. Edge don't go in the Crow family is still waiting hungry for revenge.
This cursed family was held accountable for the disappearance of over 1,000 people. This is the true story behind Wrong Turn. In the 1960s, near the small town of Blackridge, West Virginia, there lived a family known as the Harlow family. They lived in an old cabin on the edge of Black Pine Forest. The townspeople hated them, claiming they looked strange and didn't belong. One night, a mob burned their home, believing they were ending a curse. But the Harlow family survived. They disappeared into the forest, swearing revenge. Years later, people began vanishing around Black Pine Forest. Hikers, hunters, and even locals simply disappeared. A few survivors claimed the Harlows hunted anyone who entered the woods, using hidden pits, steel bear traps, spike traps, and wire snares. They laughed while chasing their victims, then dragged them deep into the forest. The only thing they ever left behind was a blood-stained raven feather. In the 1990s, a young girl named Sarah Collin escaped after her friends vanished during a camping trip. She said the family whispered, "You tried to erase us. Now we'll erase you." Today, few people go near Black Pine Forest. Locals say they still hear laughter and snapping branches after dark. If you ever find a raven feather at the forest's edge, don't go any farther. The Harlow family is still waiting.
Never wash the dishes late at night. This story is absolutely creepy, so if you're alone right now, do not listen to this story at night. Who knew something so simple and ordinary would turn into the worst nightmare ever? A man online claimed that he lived alone, completely alone, no pets, no nothing, and he would work late nights. It was a Tuesday night when he came home at 11:30. I mean, he did this all the time. This was nothing new. He turned on all the lights, he warmed up something to eat, he watched something. I mean, it was like a chill night. After finishing up with dinner, he decided to wash the dishes. I mean, at first he said he swept, he cleaned the counters, and then he left the dishes. The creepy thing about his kitchen is that it had like a really big window. I mean, it was dark. He had like no curtains at all, so anything could see him and he could see everything. He was washing dishes when all of a sudden something felt completely off. I mean, the vibe was completely off. He was never really scared of looking outside in the window, but something that day felt wrong.
This is the real Goofy. He wasn't a dog. His face was inspired by a boy hidden away inside an old asylum. In the early 1910s, the Blackwood Children's Hospital kept a secluded ward for children considered incurable. Among them was a boy whose jaw could never fully close. Strapped to an iron bed, he laughed constantly, high, broken, almost animal-like. He laughed until his lips cracked and his voice gave out. Visitors claimed they could hear him echoing through the halls late at night. The nurses called him Goof. Then one day, his medical file vanished. Only the photographs remained. Years later, animators were secretly shown those photographs as reference material. Sketch by sketch, they copied the boy's unsettling grin. The sound team was told to recreate the strange pitch of his laugh. In 1932, Goofy first appeared. The same smile, the same laugh. Families connected to the hospital claimed they recognized the sound immediately because it wasn't created, it was borrowed. That laugh you still hear today, high, cracked, and unchanged, isn't just a cartoon. Some believe it's the voice of a forgotten boy whose laughter never truly stopped.
At 3 a.m., an ordinary night turned into a terrifying experience that no one could explain. That night, he suddenly went to his grandparents' house and sat alone in the living room. The entire house was completely silent, until suddenly, he noticed a massive shadow outside the window. The figure was pressed against the glass, slowly moving back and forth. It looked like it was staring inside, almost as if it was searching for something. He froze and couldn't move, only watching the shadow outside. After a few seconds, the figure slowly disappeared from the window. He thought it was finally over, but then, something appeared beside the curtain. A blurry shape seemed to have entered the room without anyone noticing. The entire living room fell into complete silence. No one knows what that shadow really was. But after that night, he never dared to sit alone in that living room at 3 a.m. again. If you saw a shadow outside your window staring at you, would you pull back the curtain and look?
This man was driving through the Appalachian Mountains when he noticed a strange group of people dressed in long red hooded cloaks walking along the road. Curious, he decided to follow them deep into the forest, but it quickly became a terrible mistake. As he went further in, he started finding multiple missing person posters taped to trees, showing people who had disappeared over a decade ago.
Everything that you do.
He also discovered an abandoned campsite with supplies still scattered on the ground. Completely freaked out, he turned around and ran back to his car as fast as he could, only to discover that one of the red-cloaked figures was already sitting inside, waiting for him. Frozen in fear, he stood there staring at the silent figure as it slowly turned its head toward him. In that moment, he realized he should have never followed them into the woods.
This is the disturbing story said to have inspired Stranger Things, and what happened inside that facility was truly terrifying. In 1973, an orphanage called Hawthorne House opened near a quiet town in rural Ohio. Officially, it sheltered children who had nowhere else to go. In reality, the building belonged to a classified government research program. The project was directed by Dr. Elias Mercer, a neurologist convinced that the human mind could be transformed into a weapon. None of the children were ever meant to leave. Once they arrived, their records were destroyed and their names were replaced with numbers. As the months passed, the experiments became increasingly brutal. Some children spent days alone inside sealed isolation rooms. Others were exposed to extreme cold or lowered into sensory deprivation tanks. Most of them eventually broke. Some stopped speaking. Others stopped reacting altogether. But one child changed everything. Her file was marked in red. Subject 11. Doctors recorded abilities they could not explain. Believing they were close to a breakthrough, Mercer ordered longer sessions and more powerful equipment. Then on October 21st, 1975, the entire facility lost power. Instead of locking shut, every security door opened simultaneously. 7 minutes later, the cameras came back online. The footage showed employees standing completely motionless while a small girl calmly walked past them. She entered the records room. Minutes later, every file was burning and every tape had been destroyed. By sunrise, soldiers had recaptured nearly every child, but Subject 11 was gone. Despite years of searching, she was never found.
A woman was reportedly forced to leave a cruise ship early after a disturbing incident involving restaurant utensils. While dining in the cruise restaurant, she was first seen using her hands to scratch the bottom of her foot. Then she picked up the restaurant's knife and fork and continued scratching the same area. Nearby staff members allegedly did not stop her and allowed her to continue eating. Many people believe this was not just a matter of personal habits. The utensils on the ship are shared among all passengers, and after she used a fork to scratch her foot before putting it back, no one knows whether the next passenger could unknowingly pick it up and use it. After the video went viral online, many people contacted the cruise company to report her behavior and demand punishment. However, no official response has been released so far. According to online rumors, the woman may have been asked to end her cruise early and leave the ship because of her actions. If a similar situation happens in a public dining area again, how should a cruise company respond? Should staff immediately step in and replace the utensils, or should stricter measures be taken to protect other passengers? If the utensil you picked up had been used this way just moments before, would you still use it without knowing?
This lady was pure evil. In the early 1970s, deep in a sparsely populated area near Kisatchie National Forest, Louisiana, there was a woman named Ella Vidor who ran a small traveler's lodge nearly 30 miles from the city of Alexandria. The lodge sat alone along an aging service road, far from any major highway. Despite the isolation, rooms were rarely empty. Passing motorists, contractors, and night drivers often stopped there simply because there was nowhere else for miles. Most guests remembered her as gentle, attentive, almost unsettlingly polite. Ella became known for a single meal she insisted on serving every morning, a thick homemade stew that visitors later described as unforgettable. In late autumn of 1972, a telecommunications technician named Martin Hale stopped at the lodge while traveling between job sites. As he filled out the guest ledger, Ella asked him a question he would later struggle to explain. "Is anyone expecting you tonight?" Assuming it was harmless small talk, he said no. Sometime after midnight, he woke to the faint sound of humming. Standing at the foot of his bed was a figure, Ella, barely visible in the dark, quietly singing a lullaby he had never heard before. When he switched on the lamp, she lunged toward him. He managed to push past her, ran into the corridor shouting, woke the other guests, and called the police. When officers arrived and questioned Ella, she calmly said something that immediately changed the tone of the investigation. "They don't usually wake up." A complete search of the property was ordered. Behind the kitchen, hidden beneath a sealed trapdoor in a storage room, investigators discovered something horrific, because the stew she served every morning had never come from animals.
At 3 a.m., a hidden camera captured something in the house that no one could believe. The child was sleeping on the couch, and nothing seemed amiss. Suddenly, her body began to float in the air, as if she were not alone in the room. However, there was no one else in the room. Keep an eye on the girl, as what happens next is truly terrifying. But first, if you believe that the forces of darkness are stronger than God, you can scroll down. And if you believe in the power of God, tap like, subscribe, share this, and comment with your heart. Because there was someone with the girl at 3 a.m.
This is the true story behind one of Britain's most terrifying paranormal cases. It happened in 1966 in Pontefract, England. Everything began when the Pritchard family moved into what seemed like an ordinary house. At first, they heard strange knocking sounds late at night. Then objects started disappearing, only to reappear in places they had already searched. But the activity quickly became impossible to ignore. Heavy furniture moved across rooms on its own. Glass shattered without warning, lights switched on and off by themselves. Then the family claimed they started seeing a dark figure wandering through the house. It was a tall man wearing a long black robe with a hood covering most of his face, looking like a black monk watching them. The children became terrified. They refused to sleep alone, saying the monk would stand silently at the end of their beds, watching them for hours before disappearing into the darkness. Neighbors reported hearing loud crashes coming from inside the house, even when no one was home. Police officers and paranormal investigators later visited the property after dozens of reports describing unexplained activity. Many believed the figure was the ghost of a medieval monk who had once lived on the land centuries earlier. Others argued the entire case could be explained by coincidence, exaggeration, or misinterpretation, and to this day, the Black Monk of Pontefract remains one of Britain's most famous paranormal mysteries. So tell me what you think about it, and follow for more.
This little girl woke up her father at 3 a.m. because of something she heard outside her bedroom. She told him she could hear children laughing and playing right outside her window. At first, her father thought it might just be her imagination, but because it was 3 in the morning, he decided to check what was happening. He walked toward his daughter's room, slowly opened the curtains, and looked outside, but the moment he saw what was in the distance, he froze. In the open field behind the house, 2 dark figures were moving slowly, appearing and disappearing as if they were fading in and out. The family was terrified because the shapes looked almost human, like mysterious shadows crossing the field. What made it even stranger was that his daughter wasn't hearing footsteps or animals outside. She was hearing the sound of children laughing and playing. It was around 3:15 in the morning, and those figures looked completely different from anything else visible in the distance. After seeing what was captured, the family believed they may have witnessed something that didn't seem like it belonged in this world. What do you think these mysterious figures really were?
This story comes out of Phoenix. Now, there was this older couple who lived near Scottsdale. And they said that one night they were sitting in their living room watching a movie. They said there was a really bad thunderstorm out, and they just remembered hearing the rain hit the roof of the house. Well, all of a sudden, they start hearing a knock at the door. And they thought, like, that's odd. Like, who would be here this late at night during a thunderstorm? But they were the kind of people who would open the door for anyone, and they would help out anybody in need. So the old man, he goes and he answers the door. And when he opens the door, the older woman feels like a strange breeze kind of blowing, which she just assumed was from the storm. They both see these 2 men standing at the front door. They are wearing black suits and ties, and they looked just very out of place. And one thing they noticed is that there wasn't any white in their eyes. It was just all black. And they said, yeah, can we help you? Like, what are you doing here late at night? They said, excuse us, our car broke down and we need to use your phone to call someone. Can we come inside? And like I said, them being just sort of this generous old couple, they were like, okay, you can use the phone. Like, yeah, come on in. So these two men walk through the door, and the old lady notices that they were walking like very funny, kind of erratically, as if they had never walked before and they were trying to figure out like how to walk and how to move their body. They go over to the couch, they sit down, and she says to him, can I get you guys something to drink or something to eat? And they said, no, we're fine. We just need to use the phone. So she said, well, the phone is down this hallway, and it's on the wall. So the one guy got up and he goes to use the phone. The other guy sitting on the couch, they noticed he kept like grabbing his face, like something was wrong with it. And he seemed very irritated, very bothered by something. Well, the old woman decided to go in the kitchen and grab herself some tea. When she walks in the kitchen, she notices the one man who had went to use the phone standing in the hallway, just staring straight ahead. And she's like, are you all right? Like, is everything okay? She said he didn't say anything. She's like, excuse me, sir, are you okay? And she said, then it was like all of a sudden he realized what was going on. He's like, oh, yes, I'm fine. I just used the phone. Our ride will be here soon. So then he walked down the hallway and he sat back on the couch. Well, the old woman, she started feeling really, really sick. And she felt like she was getting nauseous, and she sat down in the kitchen. Her husband, who's sitting out talking to them, right, he starts feeling kind of nauseous. He starts feeling kind of sick. And that's when these two men said, our ride will be here soon, and then we will be gone. So the old man gets up and he goes into the kitchen. He tells his wife, like, something's wrong. Like, I'm not feeling good. And I think I'm getting sick. And the wife says, I don't feel good either. Like, yes, something is off. They go back out into the living room. The two men are gone. They are nowhere in the house. But the odd thing was the door was locked from the inside. So how could they have gone out the door and managed to lock it? Because they didn't have a key. They look outside, they look all around. These people are nowhere to be found. They assumed, they must have got a ride and left. Well, over the next couple of months, they had this strange illness and they kept getting sicker and sicker. Eventually, the old man passed away, and they could never really explain what was wrong with him, what this illness was. But his wife believed it had something to do with that encounter with these two men.
Did you hear that?
I thought everyone was done trick-or-treating. I'm checking the camera.
Do you see anyone?
No. But the doorbell just rang again.
Wait, who's that behind us?
Don't turn around.
It's already inside.
Freaky Jason.
Stay behind me.
I can hear footsteps, but I don't see anyone.
They're getting closer.
Freaky Jason.
The basement door was locked.
Then who opened it?
Something just went downstairs.
There's nobody here.
Then whose shadow is that?
Run!
We made it outside.
Then who's still inside the house? Emily, if you're standing next to me, who's that opening the front door?
The porch is empty. We survived.
Wait, count the candy buckets.
There were 12.
Why is there a 13th bucket now?
His grandfather sold his soul to the devil. A man shared a story that will leave you completely terrorized. He claimed that growing up, his grandfather would always tell him the same strange story. Back in the 1940s, his family was very poor. His grandpa barely had anything to eat, and they were completely desperate. Every business that they tried to build failed every time. His grandfather told him that one night, completely hopeless, he was walking through the village at night when he came across a very weird encounter. According to him, someone was already waiting for him in the corner, but this man wasn't any ordinary man. It wasn't someone from his village. He was wearing a very expensive suit and gold and jewelry. Somehow this man already knew his grandfather's name, and he made him a simple offer. The strange man told his grandpa that his children will never know poverty, but when he's gone, he'll be back for what's his. His grandpa accepted this weird man's offer. Within a year, less than a year, a bunch of opportunities came for his family. He was wealthy, everything was going good. The man's life completely changed. His family became super wealthy within the next few decades, and they're still very wealthy to this day. The strangest part is that his grandfather lived up to 90 years old, never was sick, he was never poor again. This was something very weird. However, the night he passed away, he refused and didn't let anyone into his room, and they could hear him chatting with someone, apologizing over and over again. The next morning, their grandfather was gone, but this weird, strange story still sticks to his head. He believes that his grandfather really sold his soul to the devil.
Top 5 haunted objects. In number 2, we have the hands resisting painting. This painting shows 2 fucked up kids who won't be coming to my house for Christmas. Number 3 is the anguished man. He is a hideous, terrifying piece of fart that vanishes in the wind. Ew. Oh, fuck. It's her again. The girl who loves me and wants to ride me like that rocking horse in the corner. I'll use her head as toilet paper and wipe my ass. Number 4, the conjured mirror. I used to like looking at myself in this mirror, until I realized Annabelle would be in the corner staring and clapping for my cheeks. Lastly, number 5, the Dybbuk box. Owners claimed it brought nightmares, strange smells, and terrifying experiences after bringing it home. The strange smells came from me shitting my pants every 2 seconds because I was too scared. Comment down below your scariest encounter you've ever had.
You have to be careful when you buy stuff from the thrift store because you don't know where those items have been, who owned them, what they were used for, and sometimes you can bring something home with you. Now, there was this girl named Rebecca. Be careful. Rebecca was from Burbank, California. One day, she sees this thrift store, and she goes in the door, and over in the corner, she notices this beautiful old canopy bed. And instantly, she says, you know, I have to have this bed. So she buys it, and she brings it home. Well, that night, she goes to bed in this new bed that she just bought. And as she's sleeping, she begins to have this dream. And in this dream, she sees this man in a flannel shirt and jeans and these boots and this big, thick, gray beard. And this man begins to grab her by the arms and he begins to scratch her and basically thrash her against the bed. And eventually she wakes up terrified and she feels pain. And when she goes to the mirror, she notices she has these bruises and scratches all over her body. Well, the next night, this happens again. And the next night, and the next night. And then one night, she's too terrified to go to sleep because she's worried she's going to have these nightmares. But all of a sudden, as she's laying in bed, she begins to be lifted off her bed. She's hovering about 3 feet over the top of this canopy bed. And something is lifting her up. She couldn't move, she couldn't talk. And this lasted for about 30 seconds. And then, plop, she falls onto the bed. And it was so loud that it wakes her daughter, who comes running in the bedroom. And is like, you know, what's wrong, Mom? And she says, nothing, honey, just go back to bed. So this keeps happening night after night. And then she has to go out of town. So she asked her friend to watch her house. Her friend comes over and she stays there for a couple days. Well, Rebecca decides to give her a call, ask her how things are going. And that's when her friend, starts crying on the phone. And Rebecca could tell that something was bothering her. So she goes, what's wrong? Like, what's going on? She goes, well, I slept in your bed. And I woke in the middle of the night to this old man standing at the foot of the bed. And I know he was there. I seen him, like, freaked out. And when she describes this man, it is the exact man that Rebecca had seen in her dreams. So immediately she knew that something was wrong with this bed. So when she gets back from out of town, she takes the bed and she goes back to the thrift store. And she goes inside and she tells the manager, I don't want this bed. You can have it. Like, there's something wrong with it. And she said the manager just kind of looked at her and was like, it's crazy that you brought this bed back, because not even a couple weeks ago, before you bought this bed was brought back to us. We had sold it the first time. And the lady who bought it said that she didn't want it because there was something wrong with it. And so Rebecca's like, well, how did you guys get this bed? She said, well, there was this estate of this old man who had passed away, and this was his bed and one of the items that was given to the thrift store. And so immediately Rebecca felt like that must have been the old man that I was seeing in my dreams.
Joy is a actual haunted doll. For the people that don't know.
She's a possessed bitch. I, with every fiber in me, did not want to go get that doll.
But where are you getting the doll from?
So a lady, Exquisite Nightmares was the name of her business, and I had dealt with her many times on many occasions with different dolls, because I have a lot of paranormal haunted dolls. And this time, this is a doll she could not deal with. She couldn't handle her. When the day she acquired the doll, she said that she had a really heavy feeling in her chest, and it just felt like eerie. She brought the doll home, and when she got the doll home, the cats were losing their holy ever-loving shit. They were running around like crazy, like that.
Yeah.
The next day, her best friend got really sick and died. There was like a whole sequence of events that happened. That's the only one I really remember, but she told us a whole sequence of events. And she said, I just can't take it anymore. I need this doll gone out of my house. So we came up there. The whole way up, I'm like, damn, what are we doing? Like, Spirit's like, don't get the doll. I'm like, he wants the doll. We're going to get the doll. Shit, we're going to get the doll.
Okay.
We went and got the doll. We pulled in. We got a phone call. She had it in a back room, and she's in this big plexiglass case, and so they're bringing her down the hallway, and Tim's rolling her down the hallway, and I'm standing right by the front door, and the cats are like, and the lady's like, ah! She is tripping. I said, yeah, I gotta step out. So I go outside. I'm like, no. Tim, he's just always calm, cool, and collected, no matter if he's scared or not. You can't tell.
Yeah.
So he brings it all, puts her in the car, and the whole way it's just like a really heavy feeling behind you, like almost like you had the hair stand up on the back of your neck.
Mm-hmm.
And we get home, and I don't know if it was that day or the next day, but I think it was that day. We got her there. I get a phone call. Your son's been in a motorcycle accident. He's on the way to the hospital. He's not breathing.
Do you want to hear a scary story? Of course you do. Welcome back to Spooky Scary Story Time, where I will be talking about my haunted mirror. Now, I've spoken about my haunted mirror a few times on this page, but I don't think I've told the full story and the things that have happened because of it. So this was around 2 years ago, and I had gone on the Christmas holidays, and where I was staying with my family, there were these really cute antique stores everywhere, and I was with my girlfriend at the time, and I was like, let's just have a look. And as a little paranormal girly, a psychic medium, I was like, I want to see if I can feel the energy of anything around here. So we went into this one store. It was like jam-packed with things, so it was like, I think 2 different floors, and they had a really like, I don't want to say creepy, but it was a creepy basement, and it was almost pitch black in there. Like, they had a singular light in that basement, and it was just filled with what I can only say looked like a car boot sale. Like, they had tables and tables and tables of just random, it was clothes, it was china, it was like dolls, portraits, you name it, they had it in that basement. In that basement, I started to feel really lightheaded, but I couldn't really explain why. I couldn't pinpoint why I felt that way. I just kept being drawn to this one table. I noticed right at the back, pushed like right at the back, there is this lovely handheld mirror. My name is Lily, obviously, and this handheld mirror had hand-painted flowers on it. So I was immediately drawn to it. There was no information. The tag, I think, literally said like 1920s handheld mirror. So I was like, I need to get this, like, it's calling my name, I want it, I feel so drawn to it, it's like, has flowers on it, my name is Lily, I want it. My girlfriend at the time was super skeptical. She was like, I don't really like it, I don't want it, like, how about you leave it, and then if you really want it you can come back. And I was like, absolutely not, like, I'm getting this now. We also picked up like a couple other things. When we got to the cashier, she was this really lovely lady. We put down the couple of things first, and I remember it's because I was looking around and I was still holding this mirror, and she was like, oh yeah, pay by card. And then I put down the mirror and she looked at me and she went,
yeah, no mirrors hold the
I only accept cash. Like, she did not want any trace of this mirror being purchased, I don't think. The second I had that mirror in my possession, everything started to go wrong. I got sick basically every other week with illnesses that I had never had, or, you know, illnesses that I normally spring quite quickly back from, and these would just linger. Weird things started happening in my flat at the time. Things would fall over, doors would open and close, I could hear voices when nobody was there. My flatmate at the time would like report weird things happening as well, and she had been living there for years and nothing weird had ever happened until I had that mirror. I had terrible luck. I was having friendship fallouts, I was having like just really bizarre things happen to me. Like, I would lose things all the time, I would have terrible sleep, I would have random things break, things would sort of snap, clothes would rip, my phone would start dying really quickly. Like, everything was just going really bizarrely wrong. And the whole time I am so fixated and so drawn on this mirror. Like, I look into it almost every single day. I feel so attached to it in a way where, like, even when my flatmate or my girlfriend were like, hey, I think it might be the mirror, I refused to hear them out the mirror. And even then I was just like, well, the mirror like isn't doing anything bad, like it's not actively harming me. It was kind of being more so like, I'm just having a terrible time in general. My friends would come over and I would show them the mirror, or I don't want to hold it, and I just couldn't understand because I love this mirror. Eventually I think things just got so bad, I decided that like enough was enough really, and I placed the mirror, so I used to have the mirror like facing up so that the sort of the reflection itself would be facing up. I literally said to the mirror, you have to stop this now. I flipped the mirror down and I put crystals on it. Ever since then, I would say that everything's kind of improving and gotten a lot better. I'm still incredibly possessive over that mirror. I don't really like other people touching it. I check on it every single day. I will talk to it all the time. The mirror itself feels lonely more than anything else. I have tried to see if I can communicate with anything, but the mirror itself is incredibly guarded. But ever since I've sort of guarded the mirror in itself and I talk to it, and I've set that boundary with the mirror, I know it sounds insane, it's kind of stopped. That is my spooky scary story time of
She is insane. Anybody that, you know what I'm saying, would keep something that's holding demonic spirits is insane, man. That's insane. She is insane.
My haunted mirror. As always, comment down below if you have any spooky scary story times. Feel free to drop me a and yeah, thank you.
She saw the Jesus statue walking by itself in the middle of the night. A woman that used to live with her grandmother claimed that her grandmother would often go to the Friday flea markets. So they would just like go down there to chill, buy some food. However, one day her grandmother bought a very old-looking Jesus statue from a very weird vendor. And by weird, she said it was like this lady that was very covered up. She was selling other religious items, but her grandmother, for some particular reason, decided to buy that Jesus statue. I mean, on their way back home, they couldn't really, like, it was covered up, and it was just like any other item that her grandma had bought. As soon as they got home, she hung the Jesus statue, and I mean, the night just went on, a few days went on. However, after a few days of having the Jesus statue, things in the house started feeling very weird. I mean, the energy was a little weird, and the eyes were looking a little too realistic and creeped her out. So they hung it, it was like in the living room, and she claimed that every time she would pass like by it, she swore that the eyes looked super real to the point where you feel like they're following you, and that's super terrifying. Another few weeks, she claimed that the statue would weirdly move by itself. For example, it was supposed to be very like straight, very still. It would be tilted to the other side, and then weird noises started happening at night. At first they would thought it was like animals and stuff. However, it sounded like there was a person walking in the house, which made it completely worse. One night, she claimed that she got up out of bed because she heard like stomping. It was walking usually, but this time she heard stomping. Her grandma was out of town, so she was the only one left alone in the house. So scared, but she managed to get out of the bed to investigate what was this stomping. And what she saw in the kitchen and living room, walking, completely terrified her. She claimed that she saw what appeared to be the Jesus statue walking by itself in the house. The next morning, her grandma, she came back and she got out of the bathroom and the Jesus statue was still hanging in the wall. She ended up telling her grandma what happened, and they decided to throw the statue away. What would you do if you saw the Jesus statue walking by itself?
Oh my god, I touched it!
Why did he get this? Is like a crime scene.
The board is believed to have consistently used for the past century, delivering remarkable results every time. You can hear the nervousness in my voice in this entire, like, I'm scared. The more intensely it is used, the more powerful the results. Per tradition, blood has been added to the board by countless people until the last person to do so deemed it needed to stop. Something evil came through the board into their body, forcing them to snap the planchette and destroy it. This session was never closed and this board is still open. So they never said goodbye.
So it's saying everyone who
communicating.
So it said everyone that's used it like traditionally put their blood there.
Wow, should we do it? Just kidding. We just slice our fingers. Burn it. That said burn it. Like someone wants this to be burned.
I'm down to burn it.
What is with this board? Oh no.
That's one thing you don't do, man. You don't play with demonic items, man. And them Ouija boards, them things hold so many spirits, man. It's crazy. And look who playing with it every time. Look who play with it.
That just said Gavin. Something Gavin. What?
Do you want Gavin?
They moving so fast, I'm gonna slow it down a little bit so y'all can see it. I mean, pause every few minutes. These were items found on the side of the road. Okay. Let's go. Pause this one. gives you a weird feeling. Trust it. What? Yeah. Psychologists say your brain picks up on stump of danger cues before you clues. So not clues, cues before you consciously realize it. Sometimes that bad feeling is your instinct doing their job. Okay, let's keep going.
An anonymous user posted to the paranormal subreddit. He and his friend discovered this strange effigy in the forest in the Catskills. It's a wooden carving of what appears to be a woman that was found with 3 nails pounded into each of her eyes and a rope fashioned into a noose around her neck. Against their better judgment, the man's friend then decided to take the effigy home. The man's friend then began complaining about the effigy moving from its spot, and he was smelling strange smells like pond water inside his home. His dog wouldn't even go near this thing. It would even begin barking aggressively at it. The dog also peed in the house 3 nights in a row, which she really never did before. Soon enough, this man then started hearing strange knocking sounds inside his home that kept him up at night, and one night someone knocked on his front door at 3 a.m., the witching hour. But when he went to check, no one was there. He believed something had infested his house and was constantly watching him. He had even discovered muddy footprints inside his home that weren't his. Then he heard someone breathing like his grandpa with the tracheotomy. In the Reddit post, they asked for advice and thought about burning the effigy or destroying it somehow, and many suggested to not burn or attempt to destroy the effigy since that could unleash even more havoc. The man and his friend went back to his friend's house to get the effigy so they could return it, but they noticed the dog refused to enter the house altogether. The man also saw muddy footprints inside, and the whole house smelled like a dirty dog covered in dirt. When they vocalized to the effigy that they planned on returning it, the dog started frantically barking outside, and moments later, the 2 men saw what looked like an old woman in the corner of the living room. She was naked and dripping with water, and her eyes seemed to glow in the dark. So they quickly wrapped the effigy in a pillowcase, put it in a box, and left.
You have to be careful when you buy stuff from the thrift store because you don't know where those items have been, who owned them, what they were used for, and sometimes you can bring something home with you. Now, there was this girl named Rebecca. Rebecca was from Burbank, California. One day, she sees this thrift store, and she goes in the door, and over in the corner, she notices this beautiful old canopy bed. And instantly, she says, I have to have this bed. So she buys it, and she brings it home. Well, that night, she goes to bed in this new bed that she just bought. And as she's sleeping, she begins to have this dream. And in this dream, she sees this man in a flannel shirt and jeans and these boots and this big, thick, gray beard. And this man begins to grab her by the arms, and he begins to scratch her and basically thrash her against the bed. And eventually she wakes up terrified, and she feels pain. And when she goes to the mirror, she notices she has these bruises and scratches all over her body. Well, the next night, this happens again. And the next night, and the next night. And then one night, she's too terrified to go to sleep. She's worried she's going to have these nightmares. But all of a sudden, as she's laying in bed, she begins to be lifted off her bed. She's hovering about 3 feet over the top of this canopy bed. And something is lifting her up. She couldn't move, she couldn't talk. This lasted for about 30 seconds. And then, plop, she falls onto the bed. And it was so loud that it wakes her daughter, who comes running in the bedroom. And is like, what's wrong, Mom? And she says, nothing, honey, just go back to bed. So this keeps happening night after night. And then she has to go out of town. So she asks her friend to watch her house. Her friend comes over, and
my guy here tell a good story.
Well, Rebecca decides to give her a call, ask her how things are going. And that's when her friend, starts crying on the phone. And Rebecca could tell that something was bothering her. So she goes, what's wrong? What's going on? She goes, well, I slept in your bed. And I woke in the middle of the night to this old man standing at the foot of the bed. And I know he was there. I seen him. I'm freaked out. And when she describes this man, it is the exact man that Rebecca had seen in her dreams. So immediately she knew that something was wrong with this bed. So when she gets back from out of town, she takes the bed and she goes back to the store. And she goes inside and she tells the manager, I don't want this bed. You can have it. Like, there's something wrong with it. And she said the manager just kind of looked at her and was like, you know, it's crazy that you brought this bed back, because not even a couple weeks ago, you know, before you bought this bed was brought back to us. We had sold it the first time. And the lady who bought it said that she didn't want it because there was something wrong with it. And so Rebecca's like, you know, well, how did you guys get this bed? She said, well, there was this estate of this old man who passed away, and this was his bed and one of the items that was given to the thrift store. And so immediately Rebecca felt like that must have been the old man that I was seeing in my dreams.
This is the most dangerous doll in the world, and it's something you should never buy for a child. Record this video and share it with your friends. They need to know this story. These dolls first appeared in 1982. Over time, they became more sophisticated and learned to eat food of different shapes and sizes. Children were completely fascinated by them. They became extremely popular because nothing like them existed on the market at the time. But the real danger wasn't obvious at first. Once the doll started eating, it had to swallow the object completely before it could stop. This led to terrifying situations. There were reported cases where hair, fingers, and even pieces of clothing were pulled into the doll's mouth. It wouldn't stop chewing. A single moment of inattention could put a child in serious danger. So tell me in the comments, would you buy a doll like this for your child? That's why this story has become a frequently used example to remind us of the importance of supervising children's toys.
Man, we gotta watch out for our kids and kind of toys we let them play with too.
So like 10 years ago, my grandpa gave me a terrifying Christmas present. So terrifying that I never really even opened it, and I just stuck it on a shelf in my house. And for whatever reason, I was just sitting there tonight and I thought, that present is still in my house. And I want to see if I can find it to show you guys. Okay, I just found them. They're like so far in the very back of my, like I'm up in the rafters. They're so far into the very back of my storage room because I don't ever want to look at them. But I got them from my grandpa, so I can't get rid of them. You guys, I don't even want to pull them out. Okay. So it's these, oh, like I have the heaves. It's these 3 antique dolls.
Back there too.
Maybe they're gonna make me a billionaire. I don't know. So if you guys know, let me know. So there's a boy and 2 girls. Oh my gosh!
Look at that. Look at the dog got black.
Remember that movie? Like if he was like this.
That would have been second killer dog.
What was that movie called? The Grudge or something? Oh, like I have goosebumps. And he has 2 friends. Oh, her eyes open.
Stop playing with demonic eyes.
Oh, look at this one.
Crazy.
She has a brand on her. I can't even read what it says.
It ain't cool.
What do I do with these? She has yellow lips. Ah!
That old man from the screen.
Okay, fine. One more story before bed. This is a lesson on why you shouldn't take things that don't belong to you. We were in high school at the time, you know, we went to this party, typical teenager things. You know, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do any of that. So what I do is I like to urban explore and ghost hunt. That's my vice. Said friends and boyfriends were happy to tag along on a little urban exploring ghost hunt. And at this party, we found out that there's a haunted abandoned house that burned down just across the street. We marched on over there. This house had been ransacked. We were not the first people in there. Upon entering, me and my friend both see a shadow pass by the back door, and we both acknowledge that we saw it, but we keep on moving. Now the floor is broken boards, there's spiders, spider webs, dust, ash everywhere, and the only thing that looks like it survived the fire is a Bible sitting on the mantle. And it's not just any Bible, actually. It's one of those Bibles where you write stuff into it. So we go in the backyard because we're following this shadow figure, and we see it go into the barn. Once we go into the barn, we start getting this really bad feeling. there was something in the barn with us. And then we all started to hear it pacing around in a circle around the barn. And the guys are like, oh, maybe it's just rats. It's a raccoon. But raccoon's steps don't make thud, 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 slowly getting louder and slowly getting closer. We get so scared, eventually we decide that we're gonna leave. But on our way out, we take the Bible. This isn't our first and wasn't our last item that we took from a haunted location, but it was one that would cause problems in the future. After we took that Bible, weird things started to happen at my house. My already previously haunted house. Could be completely unrelated, but I think it was related to this Bible because when the scary things started amping up, like hearing voices, seeing orbs and shadows, when all of that started amping up, we're like, okay, we need to get rid of this Bible. So me and one of my friends take the Bible and we walk down as far as we can on the street, and then we find a random person's trash can and put it in there. We go home, we go to sleep, and this is before everyone had Ring cameras. Nobody knew we did this. Nobody knew where we came from. The house couldn't see our house from that house. We wake up, we walk to the front door, and the Bible is sitting on the porch. We try to get rid of it again. We have someone drive us to a dumpster. We dump it in the dumpster. A month later, I open one of my drawers, and guess what's inside that Bible?
Okay. That's all I have for you for today. We had demonic items, demonic people, doing demonic things to other people. But if you liked the video and you made it to the end, fam, hit that like button, comment, share, so that other people can get the same experience that you get. I'll be coming back with more videos, more this week, on creepy and strange things. And Fearen Fear Files signing out.